I am a firm believer in Darwin's theory of natural selection, and here we have my GSX 1400, a barn find that was sat in a barn for some 23 or 24 years old. It's a 2001, but it is a K2, and it has 120 horsepower and enough torque to restart a dead planet. But I went through a motorcycle test when I was 18, 19, 17, I can't remember, where I just went round a block and that was enough, and I'm still here, as my other riding partners are, yes? And I think we're overcomplicating absolutely everything in the world, but we can only talk about one subject, and that's the motorcycle test. Let's go round here. Look at this beauty. Sat in a barn for 24 years, 23 years, and that's how it was. Hello everyone, I hope you're well. It's February 2026. Let's go for a little ride and let's stop complicating things. That's the objective today. I appreciate the MAG Motorcycle Action Group doing lots and lots of good things, but we're overcomplicating things. Let's go back to the simple days of the past, where we took a motorcycle test and then you could ride anything. That's the way forward. Let's go for a ride on my beautiful GSX 1400. I need to get some fuel, but whatever. So when I was a kid, what was it, 1980s, I took what was called the Mod 1 riding through the cones, and that was fine. And then I went out, once I'd passed the Mod 1, I went out and passed my Mod 2, where a guy stood on a corner and he sent me round a block. I turned right, I turned right, I turned right, I turned right, and then he stood out in the road, put his hand up to emulate an emergency stop. I did that and I passed my test. It was on a Suzuki GP 100. And then the next bike was a Suzuki X7. 2-stroke. Here we go. Now, whilst I have had a couple of spills over my life, and they were in the early part of my life, that's because I was on the left-hand side of Darwin's theory of natural selection, and that continues today. We get people that pass their test, regardless of age, that pass their test today with such complications and such cost, because it's an industry, it is an industry, and it's unnecessary, and such cost that you know, they come off, they get the license, they go and buy a bike depending on their age, what cc and power they've got restricted, another overcomplication, and then they end up riding it like, you know, riding it like a nutter, go into a left-hand bend, misjudge it, go straight into the other side of the road if you're in the UK, yes, and then go into a hedge and hurt themselves, or even worse. Yep. I know the statistics have come down over the years, but I think the number of riding hours per population of riders, not including Deliveroo riders, has dramatically reduced as well. Because in the 1980s, 90s, we couldn't afford a car. You couldn't afford a car, so you had a motorcycle, and you used the motorcycle much more than we do today. The motorcycle is much more of a toy today than it ever has been in the past. We used to buy a motorcycle, we'd go to college on it, we'd go to work on it, we'd do everything on it because we couldn't afford a car. And that's the truth. Tell me if I'm wrong, comment below. And because there were more riding hours, there were more accidents, and you were also getting the nutters on the road. It's really, really overcomplicated today. Now, so I see two types of accidents, like I've said. The one where you go into a left-hand bend, you misjudge it, you go too fast, you go onto the other side of the road and go through a hedge. The other one is where car drivers aren't looking at you, and that's because cars of today are like a video game. The car has been turned into a mobile phone, where you've got so many screens and so many functions distracting you that you forget to look out of the cockpit to see what's happening. So as I come to this left-hand junction, someone pulls out on me. Yeah? And that's why I ride with high beam on, so that they can really, really see me. Oops. I'm riding too fast. Let's come down to 30 on my GSX 1400. Am I making a reasonable point? When I took my test, it cost me, I don't know, £100 to do the Mod 1. That's like the equivalent of the CBT. And then I did the Mod 2, which cost me £80, and I rode my GP100, not a 600cc engine, but my GP100 round the block. If you want to limit riders, like it currently is, then limit them by their age. So, you know, you pass your a CBT, you then pass your Mod 2 or whatever. It's as cheap as chips. And then, based on your age, that limits the CC or power that you can go and purchase. Or on the road, let's say on the road. What do you think? It makes it much simpler, it makes it much cheaper. I know it destroys a current tuition industry, but that's why there are no bikes on the road. And that's why it's dying, because it's just too expensive based on the return of investment for the rider that's spending £1,000, if not more, to get a license to ride a motorcycle beyond 15 horsepower. What's your thoughts on it? And then, if that was the case, there would be more people passing the tests and using motorbikes as an efficient form of transport to get to work and back, rather than going in massive debts on PCP cars that they can't afford. Doesn't that sound reasonable? I appreciate Mag do a lot of good stuff, but we're looking down the wrong end of the telescope. Tell me if I'm wrong. There will always be nutters that pass their test and then end up killing themselves. Do you agree? You have to agree with me. There was, you know, and that's why insurance is higher for new riders, regardless of age. It's higher. You tell me what your thoughts are. Here we go. Don't indicate. As I go and get some nice E5 petrol for my GSX. What's your thoughts? You tell me. I want people to ride, and I want people to ride within a reasonable budget. And I want people to ride safely. Experience brings safer riding, normally. Yeah? And we've got to let these people get on the road at a reasonable price, and then go and buy the bike they want, be it whatever it is that they're buying, based on age. Maybe keep the same age brackets and things like that. I'm always doing this at work in our technical architectures of IT. Why are we making this so complicated? Why is it so goddamn expensive? Why is the customer always breathing in sharply when we mention the price? It doesn't need to be this complicated. You know, it's just a thought. Everything's just too complicated now. We need to go back to simple stuff. And as a final note, always ride as if you're invisible and no one can see you. And 2, assume everybody is using their mobile phone. In fact, the car test, to pass your car test now, you should texting whilst driving should become part of the car test, because everybody's bloody texting while driving a car. Yeah? If you can't proficiently text whilst driving a car, you don't pass your license. You don't get your license. Of course, that's ridiculous. So don't take it literally. That is ridiculous. But you understand the point, don't you? You understand the point. Here we go. We've got someone right up my arse. There we go. He's going to McDonald's. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Comment below your thoughts. You tell me. You tell me while I fill up with some E5. There we go. In the GSX 1400. Let's wait in this one. Have a great day, ride safely, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.